Today we're gonna do a VIP tour of the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank! Woohoo! Hey everybody, I'm Chris Provost, and today on Provost Park Pass, we are going to do a deep dive to the Walt Disney Studios. You know we love Disneyland, but none of that stuff would even be there if it wasn't done for the work done here at this particular studio. Today, we're going to walk where Walt walked. We're going to see the Sound Studios where they made the most amazing animations ever. We're going to see the Foley artists. We're going to see all kinds of things that are going to make your mind explode. This is the most VIP of VIP tours that we can get at this particular studio. But there are some ground rules. Once we're on the tour, we're not allowed to do a lot of video, so we'll be doing lots of photos of voiceover, but we took photos of every single thing we could. This tour is amazing, mind-blowing. Wow.
We were contacted by Philip, and he said that he is doing a Walt Disney Studio lot tour, and he invited the whole Provost Park Pass team to go, so here we are.
We were so excited. We were driving to the studio, to the Walt Disney Studios.
You know what would be awesome to see? Is Marvel Studios.
That's not gonna happen.
I'd love to see that.
Not a chance.
Not a
We're gonna
chance.
get it. It's a month before.
You don't know?
There's no way. It's like the most secure thing ever.
If you look up the words notoriously secure, you will see the Marvel Studios underneath.
And I don't know why, so when we were driving to the studio, we started clicking just pictures because we were nervous before we even got there. Once we went through security and got in, we had to park in the Zorro parking lot. How cool of a name is that for a parking lot? The Zorro parking lot.
Oh, that's definitely him. Look at his shirt.
And this is when the adventure really begins.
Da, da, da,
Now,
da.
the thing you have to be aware of the Walt Disney Studios, it's not a studio that allows people and visitors and tours to go on like Universal Studios. No, it is a closed lot, so we had to have security badges. Once we got those badges, we then met our tour guide, Drew. This guy was so amazing. He knew so much history about the studios and all the upcoming things that were happening on the studio tour. As you walk around Walt Disney Studios, you can see the iconic water tower pretty much from any vantage point, and it is awesome. It is huge. Now, most water towers and studios lots only have 4 legs. Disney felt that it was more impressive if it had 6 legs, so they paid additional money to have 2 additional legs attached to the water tower, making it a 6-legged water tower. It is cool, it is iconic, and I just the whole time I was like, I want to climb on top of it. First stop was the employee cafeteria. The walls are covered in murals from all the different Disney properties. You've got Star Wars, you got Marvel, you got Pixar, you got their animation, and these murals are gorgeous. I felt like I should be in like a museum. Like I didn't feel like I was in a cafeteria. I felt like I was in like the Louvre Museum. I was like, oh. I started to feel overwhelmed, and it was only the first stop. Now here's the thing, what's right there by the menu is the neon clock. It says Walt Disney Studios with Mickey with using his arms to point at different time. It was such a nice touch. I loved it. When Walt worked on those studios, almost every single day he would eat chili. He loved chili and had his own chili recipe. In order to honor that chili, they still serve that special dish at each employee cafe. If any of you do that, put it down in the comments down below and let me know if you like the chili. We tasted it and it was delicious. The thing about this cafeteria is the food choices were expansive. You had everything you want available to you to eat, and we actually had opportunity to eat there. And it was scrumdiddly-umptious. It was so good. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it was a cafeteria. It's like a 5-star restaurant. The Walt Disney Studios lot is a non-vehicle lot, so that means people don't drive cars from one place to the other. They're walking from one area to another area. They still have street signs though, and if you look on the street signs, they are named after famous characters like Dopey Drive or Mickey Avenue, and then below those names of the streets are the arrows pointing to the different sound studios or inking buildings or whatever you have there. Right here on this particular corner, you see a red fire hydrant. Now people always assumed because there's a red fire hydrant, who loves red fire hydrants? Dogs do! And everybody was thinking, well, Pluto's gonna love this. So what did they do? The Imagineers, they painted Pluto's Corner. And if you look very carefully in the cement right there by the fire hydrant, you can see Pluto's paw prints in the cement. What? That's amazing, the attention to detail. What? Pluto's Corner. We got to see the original movie theater that's on this lot. Now this movie theater is gorgeous. I mean gorgeous. It's after like the Art Deco era. It's amazing. When you walk into the movie theater, it has a lobby. So you don't just walk in to see a theater. There's an actual lobby right there. And when you look around the lobby, there's all kinds of knickknacks, artifacts of different types of movies that have shown here or been previewed here at this particular theater. Now the reason they have this theater here is the artists, when they were working on something and ready to go, they would bring it here to the studio. Everybody could watch it. Walt would watch it, and they'd see if they liked it. Or if they didn't like it, they could make changes. And this is where they did all the sneak previews of their major movies here in this particular theater. Now, this movie theater is not open to the public, but every once in a while, they will do a special premiere here. They did that for Mary Poppins and a sneak preview for certain people who could come here and watch Mary Poppins. How amazing would that have been to see Mary Poppins there in the studios? If you look very carefully on the carpet, you'll see these hidden Mickeys in the carpet. They're light gray. It's a look and a miss it. If you didn't look for it, you'd miss it type of moment. So you have to look very carefully for those hidden Mickeys. They actually let us sit down in those red velvet chairs, and they were plush and they were gorgeous and they were so nice. It was amazing. You could feel the history of that theater. So many great works were previewed on that screen that it just made you feel like you were in the presence of greatness. As we continued the tour, we stood outside stages B and C. Now, this is where almost all the sound work is done for Disney films. I mean, almost every Disney film you've ever seen, this is where they record all the dialogue and everything from animated films, from Star Wars, from the Avengers. Everything is done inside that studio. We were standing outside looking at that studio in complete awe. I was feeling overwhelmed again when all of a sudden, Doc Kane walks by. Doc Kane is one of the coolest guys I've ever met. He is the lead sound technician for Disney Studios, and he walks by and sees us. He's like, hey, do you guys want to come in and see the inside of the sound studios? And we're like, what? Are you kidding? That was not part of the planned tour, but he took us inside the sound studio of B and C and started to educate us on sound work. The first thing he showed us were the different types of microphones that actors would use when they're recording different lines. This part here was very tender for us. He then showed us the microphone that Robin Williams used when he was recording Aladdin. And we all just sit there and stared at it because it was so amazing. That's Cameron Gregg's, probably his very favorite movie of all time. And just to think that there he was standing right there recording the voice of the genie, it was amazing. Another thing that he showed us is called the Kylo Ren bar. This is when they were doing looping, or it's called ADR. It's when they do voiceover work on top of a movie. Actor Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren, came in and was doing some looping for Star Wars, and he asked if he could have a bar there so he could hold on to this bar, and then he can grunt and he make sounds and he can pull on the bar. And since he was the very first actor to do that, they now call it the Kylo Ren bar. They leave that Kylo Ren bar there for all the different actors that come in because they love using it. Another addition that Doc showed us is there's this desk right out in front. The desk used to not be there. It used to be behind the glass. There's several directors for animated films that they wanted to be in the room with the actors as they're doing their voice work so they could kind of direct them. They get bigger sounds, more action. So they moved that desk right out front, and that's something kind of new. It's really neat to think that directors were sitting right there at that desk directing the actors while they'll do their voice work. Doc then took us back to the soundboard. We got to see the soundboard that they used to mix the sound on Disney classics. Now you might be asking yourself, what movies has Doc worked on? Pretty much basically everything, all the way from Aladdin to Avengers to Star Wars, Tarzan, DuckTales to Moana, and he's currently working on Frozen 2. When I was listening to his pedigree of all the movies he started to work on, I started to feel overwhelmed. He was so kind to us. He let us stand up the microphones as a group right there on those microphones. We could not believe we were standing in the exact same spot that Julie Andrews has been standing, that Robin Williams has been standing, that Jess Harnell has been standing, that it was amazing that we got to be there with all those particular actors. When you leave the sound studio, they have these posters of all these different films. And then they have the actors who worked on those particular movies sign the posters. And it was incredible to see all the different people who've been working doing voice work. In addition to that, they had these old-time photos of all these old voice actors from a time long ago showing when they were doing the voice work. One of my very favorite photos shows Walt Disney and Clarence Nash doing voice work for Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. It's amazing to think I was standing in that studio where they did that particular voice work. It was awesome. As you walk throughout the studio lot, you'll see that there are Mickeys literally everywhere. I mean, everywhere. They're in topiaries, they're on flags, they're on bicycle things. There's everywhere you look, there's hidden Mickeys, or not so hidden Mickeys. They're just everywhere. Our tour continued on to the Frank G. Wells building. Now, this building is so cool looking on the outside. Frank G. Wells was the president of Disney, and he had a huge impact, and they named this building after him. This building here is where Marvel Studios is. If you look on the second floor of that building, you'll notice that the windows are all tinted silver. They had to do that because people were trying to fly drones in or use telescopic lenses on cameras to go through and see what people were working on. They had to keep everything top secret. When we got here on the tour, our tour guide Drew told us that nobody gets to go up to the second floor to the Marvel Studios. We were there to see the Disney archives. As we walk inside the building though, they had some windows on the inside, and if you look carefully, we got to take some photos. They have Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, they have the Iron Man suit #1, and like a couple of other suits, and we were freaking out because everybody in Provost Park Pass is huge Marvel fans, and so we were like freaking out. And finally Drew was like, you know what, let me just see. So we went and asked, and our fingers are crossed, like, is this gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? Never happens. He comes back down, he's like, you guess what, guys, we're gonna let you go into the main lobby of the Marvel Studios. We're like, what? I couldn't believe I was starting to feel super overwhelmed at this particular moment. It was amazing. You walk in the lobby on the second floor of Marvel Studios. The first thing you see is this huge mural or banner or whatever. It says Marvel Studios. It was cool. Then you move along and you see they have Iron Man suits, the original suits, Iron Man like from Iron Man Mark II to Mark like 10. They also had Captain Marvel's outfits from her movie, and we were all just standing around. Everybody wanted to get pictures in front of the Marvel Studios because we're like, here we are in front of the studios. It was so cool. We got to see Thanos' costume. They even have Goose, the cat from Captain Marvel. We were like, oh my gosh, it was awesome. Then they see this huge mural with Captain America on it, and standing behind him is the Howling Commandos. It was breathtaking. You looked at it and you're like, this is what it almost like is like up there with the Mona Lisa. So fun. It was such an unexpected surprise for us to be able to get into the lobby of Marvel Studios. When you go outside the building, what do you see right up front? You see the parking stalls for Anthony Russo and Joe Russo. So we stood on those parking spots because we're like, this is where they park. This is where they park. Zach waited out there for hours waiting for them to hire him, and they never showed up. Cameraman Greg wanted to be Chris Hemsworth's stunt double. We all laughed at that idea. We're still in the Frank G. Wells building. We leave the second store for Marvel Studios and we go down to the Disney archives. And our hearts are pounding. We're thinking nothing could be better than being in Marvel Studios. The doors open and we're allowed to go into the Walt Disney archives. This was the moment that my head exploded. This had all different kinds of artifacts from movies, from animation features, everything you could want to see. They have the actual red wench from Pirates of the Caribbean there. They also have the banner that says "Take a Wench for a Bride" there. They have things from the Tiki Room. They have the original Barker bird, because when the Tiki Room first opened up, people didn't know what the animatronics was, so they put this Barker bird out front and it would attract people in to go inside the Tiki Room. They have that Barker bird sitting right there. They also have other artifacts from other parks around the world. Right here they have Tokyo, showing that they used ticket books. It was the last park to use ticket books, A, B, C, D, and E. They kept those tickets. They have other artifacts from different movies, from different eras, from different rides. Your mind and heart is overflowing with joy because you're seeing all these cool artifacts and exhibits from different things that you never thought you would get to see. I couldn't believe it. They had on display the storyboard for the Haunted Mansion, because the Haunted Mansion's amazing, right? And they showed how they storyboarded it and made the Haunted Mansion a reality with some of the costumes from the Haunted Mansion. Something that I thought was just so interesting to me is they had Walt Disney's employee badge. Walt Disney needed his own employee badge, and they kept it. Can you imagine them? People like, hey, buddy, who are you? And like, I'm Walt Disney. And they had to show his employee badge. Oh, you are Walt Disney. There was Walt Disney's employee badge that was right there. They have things from the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They've got clocks. They've got plateware. They got cutlery. They got toys spanning the whole existence of the Disney universe. They even have a pillbox hat from the Tower of Terror. Right in the center of the table, we got to look at, but we couldn't open up. They have these black books. Now, these black books are the concept work and some of the scripts from some famous Disney movies. We're like looking at this going, oh, could not even handle it. Then all of a sudden, our tour guide, Drew, comes out and he's carrying this black velvet bag, and it's kind of, you can tell that there's some heft to it. It's kind of heavy, and he starts talking about it, this black bag, saying that something's inside it that Walt held. He then opens up the bag and pulls out an Academy Award, an Oscar that Walt won for the documentary White Wilderness. Walt held that particular Academy Award, and we're looking at it just going, I've never been this close. Never think you'd ever be that close to an Oscar. And then our tour guide's like, since you guys are on this VIP tour, would you like to hold the Oscar? That's the point where my mind was like, what? And I was like completely overwhelmed. I was like, I can't do this. They let us each hold the Oscar, and there is some serious weight to it. You know how like when you watch Oscars and they get up there and like, this is so heavy. It is heavy. It was amazing. We sat there and held it, and like I wanted to just like sleep with it and just be with it and like cuddle with it. It was awesome. And cameraman Greg was like, someday. It was so fun to look at each of us and have our experience holding Walts Oscar. Another really cool thing in the archives is showing how Mickey has evolved throughout the years and all the cool things that Mickey's done. They even had a photograph of Mickey scuba diving in costume. If you look at this photo here, I love this photo. This is what Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse looked like when Disneyland first opened up their parks. Their costumes have changed so much from then to now. As we left the Walt Disney Archives, we walk across the street to the studio office. Now, this studio office is where the executives and Disney employees are working every day to make that magic happen. We were not allowed to go inside because they're working really hard. If you look on the facade and outside the building, though, you'll notice the 7 dwarfs. There's the 6 dwarfs holding up and Dopey at the very apex of the roof. The reason they have those 7 dwarfs is because they are the ones that have built the House of Disney. Because of Snow White had so much success, Disney was able to expand and move on and follow his dream. So that's why the dwarfs are out there holding up the roof of Disney, because they are the ones, the workhorses for Walt Disney. I love that. I think it's neat. Now, outside that building, you have a statue of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse, just like they do in the parks. Right by that statue, though, you see this additional statue. This statue here is dedicated to the Disney legends. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a Disney legend? A Disney legend is somebody who's gone above and beyond the duty to make something happen special for the Walt Disney Company. This statue is beautiful, but it is also very symbolic. Here's what it represents. The spiral stands for imagination, the power of an idea. The hand holds the gifts of skill and discipline and craftsmanship. The wand and the star represent magic, the spark that is ignited when imagination and skill combine to create a new dream. Also, Gus Gus is hiding right there inside of the statue. Around this plaza, you're going to see handprints of all these Disney legends. There are some really famous people here that you cannot, I was just like, whoa, Elton John. There is the Golden Girls. There's Russi Taylor. Rest in peace, Russi, the voice of Minnie Mouse. There's Robin Williams. Now, you'll notice some of them as you're looking through his photos, some of them have handprints and some of them just have like a mural. If they passed away before they were able to get their handprint, they just do this mural. If they were still alive, they actually got the handprints. One of the things I thought was super interesting is right here they have George Lucas, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher, but no Harrison Ford. People often think that that's going to be coming soon, though. Can't wait for when Harrison Ford gets his handprints for Star Wars and Indiana Jones. This was probably my very favorite handprint. It's Ward Kimball, who was one of the original animators for Walt Disney, also known as one of the 9 old men. Look at his handprints. Each hand has 6 fingers. That jokester Ward, you. Our next stop on our tour was the animation and inking buildings. Now, Walt personally designed these buildings. On the exterior, when you're looking at these buildings, you will notice they kind of go in and out and in and out. He designed it that way so every artist had an office window. Every single artist had its own window because he felt that natural light helped them be better at their craft. How amazing is that? It's awesome. Now, the animation building and the inking building are just 2 separate buildings, but they are connected by a hallway, so it allows you to go from one to the other. And Walt designed it that way so as people animate, they could walk quickly over to the inking and ink it real quickly, so they go back and forth and increase proficiency of the animation. As you're walking through the animation building, though, you are so overwhelmed by all the things that you can can see that were created here in these particular buildings. On the walls of the hallways, you see different artwork they have. They have animation cells from Tarzan. They have Beauty and the Beast. They have Snow White. They have sketches from the Beast transformation. They have the original concept idea for the genie. He was green. They also have all kinds of things of Mickey and Fantasia. All these different artworks right down the hallway, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, holy cow, these should be in a museum. They have the storyboard sketches for 101 Dalmatians. That classic right there. Oh, I know those drawings look a little rough, but that's just because they're animation storyboards, guys. 101 Dalmatians, dogs, get it? Rough? No. We got a very special access. They let us go into the basement of the building. Most tours don't get to go in the basement building, but we got to go down there to see the hallway that connects the inking building to the animation building, and we got to walk through there. As we're walking through there, we got to see that a few years ago, they did a whole refurbishment of the building. They took out all the carpet, they took out the linoleum, and they refurbished everything, but they forgot to do one stairwell. They forgot to do one stairwell in the building, and this stairwell has the actual linoleum that Walt walked on. When they realized that they had not taken out that linoleum, they left it there, and that's the only part of the building that was not refurbished. You can see the linoleum. It's back from the 40s. You can see how good it looks. Still there, and that is exactly where Walt was walking. Here is a photo of all the different Disney feature films that were worked on in this particular building. It goes from Snow White all the way up to Moana. As you're walking through this building, they have old-time photos of Walt and the different inking departments all littered throughout the wall, so you can see the history of this particular studio. Here, the painted cells are placed on a table, and the camera's above it, and it snaps a photo. They move that particular cell off and put another particular photo there, and boom, take another picture of it. You keep doing that, it's stop motion, it looks like it's actually moving. Let's do the math here. For a 5-minute animated short, in 1 second, you'd have to have 24 frames. So in 1 minute, you would have to have 700 frames. So in 5 minutes, you'd have to have 7,200 frames. That's a lot. So think about a full-length feature film. At the end of the film, they would have millions and millions of these cells going around. And so this is what the animators would do when they were done with the film. They would take those cells and they would put it on the ground. Can you believe this? And they would run and they'd slide on them. Walt would do that with his kids and have fun with it. They'd pull it around, and you could actually even see some of the scuff marks on the linoleum where they would slide on these original cells for these films. Nobody thought they'd be worth anything, so they didn't treat them with any respect. As we're walking along, we see this thing that says Motion Picture Film Vault. And we're like, what is that? And we found out that is the actual vault. You know how they say, hey, this movie's going in the vault. It's not going to be out for another 7 years. That's it. That's right there. That's the vault. We literally stood outside that door as a Provost Park Pass crew, and we thought about, like, what do we do? Do we rush it? Do we run in? What do we try to do? How do we get inside this building? But it is pretty secure, that vault. That is where they store all of the Disney films. Every single film is stored in that particular vault. Now keep in mind, Walt Disney Studios is used for making films and television, and they have actual huge giant buildings where they film TV shows and movies. One of them, the favorite ones I saw, was called the Julie Andrews Studio, because this is where they filmed Mary Poppins and Princess Diaries. Can you believe that? Nothing of Mary Poppins was filmed outside. It was all filmed inside this particular soundstage. You can see Amanda found her makeup truck, which she loved and wanted to go inside. This soundstage was named the Home Improvement Soundstage because this is where they filmed almost every single episode of the Home Improvement show on ABC. On the outside of the sound stages, you can see the different films that were filmed there because they have the big murals and banners of films they've been working on or currently working on. While we were there, they actually were filming for this TV show Blackish. We got to go on set and look at it. We couldn't take any photos of the set while we were there though. But they let us go over to this set here where they just got done and broke down the set so you can see how big this room is. This is where they build sets. They build like houses and streets and all kinds of cool things to make it look like you're on a movie set. This soundstage here is named after the Sherman Brothers, who wrote amazing music for Disney, such as Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, the Winnie the Pooh theme song, and of course, one of our personal favorites, It's a Small World After All. Of course, our tour had to end in the studio store. They have a store there for employees, and people can go in, like if you're on tour and you can buy, but they have a section that's just for employees, and we weren't able to photograph that particular area, but you go in there, and cast members can buy merchandise at a discounted rate. It was a really cool store. I can't describe to you the experience that we had in detail at Walt Disney Studios. It was truly an amazing experience. As we walked around, we saw where all these dreams started and became reality. I couldn't even express to you how much I loved being there. It was something that I've always dreamed about seeing, something I've always wanted to see. And to actually walk down the hallways that Walt did and hold the Oscar that did and be in the Marvel Studios was a dream beyond compare. And when you guys, because when you wish upon a star. Okay, so you guys might be wondering, like, how did we get invited to the Walt Disney Studios tour? Well, that's because of our really good friend here, Philip. Philip actually does the Disney Movie Rewards. You want to tell everybody a little about the Disney Movie Rewards?
Yeah, so the Disney Movie Rewards, you get about 150 points per DVD and Blu-ray that you get. So I saved up for about 6 or 7 years and saved up all of my points and was able to get a backstage tour of the Disney Studio lot.
So. 6 years of saving movies. And how many Disney movies do you think you have now?
About 150, give or take.
Oh my gosh.
100.
What's your favorite?
Favorite Tarzan. Tarzan's my favorite animated.
No way, really? That's awesome. I love that.
Yep.
So because he saved up all his points, that allowed him to go on this very VIP, just a VIP, backlot tour. And then he invited Provost Park Pass to come along with him. So we're so grateful that you did that. I want to know, this is his son, Caden.
Hi.
Caden, what was your favorite thing to see at the backlot studio tour? What was your favorite?
Seeing the Marvel stuff.
Oh, the Marvel Studios. It was amazing. We couldn't believe it. We got up there. You guys see the second floor where all it was. They saw the mural of Captain America. They had the big thing. That was pretty cool. Did you enjoy the tour?
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Hey. Anyways, guys, here I am with Philip. We just want to say thank you both so much for inviting us. And we want to say you have a magic week. And if you want, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. You want to go ahead and snap the camera, and that'll end it for them. Yeah.